You work on behalf of Afghan allies, those folks who helped the United States and the U.S. military in Afghanistan, whether they were interpreters, working on the ground, in the government, helping, literally going with soldiers. So why is this so important to you? And what's the status of these Afghan allies?
Sure. Well, thank you so much. Look, this is important to me because this is an issue that is reflective of the very idea of America. Ronald Reagan said years and years ago that he believed in the idea of a shining city on the hill, and to him, that meant a city bustling with people and commerce. And if the city had to have walls, the walls had doors, and anybody with the strength and the heart to get there was welcome. That is not what our country is today, but at Afghan EVAC, we endeavor every day to make it so, especially for people who risk their lives. Whether you got paid by the United States government or you were doing things in furtherance of the idea of America or the principles of democracy, we lost that war, so we have an obligation to you as a global superpower to make sure that we take care. And the country has presidents from both parties have reflected that promise, as have secretaries of state. So we try to make sure the country remembers that and follows through on it. Now, the current status is not great. We got a little less than half of the people that needed to come here. And then on day one of President Trump's administration, he shut it all down. It got ratcheted further down after the shooting in November, which seems unfair. If a veteran had done a shooting, we wouldn't be ratcheting down, all veterans. And so, look, what people have to hold, the hope that people have to hold on to right now is that this is temporary, and that Congress could make a real difference. Now, we've got a couple bills out there right now. The Afghanistan TPS Act of 2026 is moving through Congress. That would protect a lot of people here. We need to see a bill that would protect people at Camp Asilia and elsewhere around the world.
What is the status of some of the bills that are working their way through Congress, and how realistic is it that they pass?
Sure. So currently, there's one bill out there that would provide a relief to the folks that are here in the United States that have been harassed by ICE and DHS. That is the Afghanistan TPS Act, Temporary Protected Status. It would provide protection for these folks that we brought here, that the United States government brought to the U.S. until July of 2029, after President Trump is gone, so that they can work through their immigration process without being harassed by ICE, without being detained. They can pursue their American dream while their immigration paperwork catches up. It's not their fault that our system is so broken. And that stands a pretty good chance of passing if the leadership team has the will, right? We need to see Republicans and Democrats pushing on this. We believe that will happen. We have a pretty good leadership team: Don Bacon, Jason Crow, Sam Liccardo, Maria Salazar, Scott Peters, Joe Wilson is on this. So I feel pretty good about it. The second bill is more of it's the Arch Act. It's Klobuchar and Rounds. And that's more of lining up paperwork so that when we can reopen, it's good to go. It wouldn't solve anything for anybody right now. But in Afghanistan, it's really not safe to have your paperwork that showed you were in the Afghan military helping the Americans. So we want to make sure that there's some way that we can take in that information and then they can get rid of their paperwork if they need to, so that it lives somewhere in a government document. What needs to happen is, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
What needs, and that has a decent chance of passing. It's in the ANDAA in the Senate version, so we hope to see that pass. The other, like the aspirational bill, is Afghan EVAC would very much like to see a conflict agnostic mission partners program that does not have visa caps, is not an employment-based visa, so not an SIV. It shouldn't require that you work for the United States government, but it should be, if you worked in support of the mission, you can access this. Once you're registered, you're undergoing constant vetting. That's just good for security for our systems overseas anyway. You would, as soon as a threat moment happened and you had met eligibility, you could essentially pop a flare and say, hey, something dangerous just happened. I need to get out. You'd be able to leave because the vetting had already happened. You could go to get your medical screening and you could move on to pursue your American dream with rapid accession to the country and then resettlement. That has not been introduced yet. We're working with some offices right now and we hope that it will get introduced this Congress and passed this Congress or maybe next Congress.
Large swaths of America support helping these Afghan allies that helped the U.S. military in the war. What can the average American do to support them if they're not in Congress and they're not working as closely in this issue as you are?
That's right. Well, the number one thing we want people to do is go to action.afghanevac.org. We always have a menu of things that people can do to write their member of Congress, to post about something, to tell their story. And so we want to see that happen. Number two, people can reach out to their local officials and say, hey, this is important to me. Add it to your legislative platform and make sure that your lobbyists in Washington are talking to the members of Congress there about it. Every city and state has a lobbyist and a legislative platform, so they can sort of force multiply by that way. And then the third thing is we'd love for them to donate to Afghan Evac, afghanevac.org/donate.
So in the Afghanistan war, we had these allies who worked with the U.S. military. We helped a lot of them, but not all of them. Why haven't we been able to help all of them? And what is the status of that currently?
Sure. So at the end of the Biden administration, so everybody remembers the chaotic withdrawal 5 years ago. It was awful. What people don't know is that the Afghan Evac brought civil society to the table with the Biden administration, and we worked out the safest, most secure immigration program in our country's history. It was called Enduring Welcome. At the end of the Biden administration, every month we were getting 5,000 Afghans out, sending them to one of 4 different countries, and then they'd undergo even more processing. Before they got on the plane from Kabul, they'd undergone vetting, Trump 1 level vetting. And then they would go for more vetting and more medical screening and more immigration processing. And then they would move on to their American dream. President Trump stopped all of that. And there's about 250,000 people left. So a lot of that is stopped. We're not doing family reunification anymore. We're processing special immigrant visas, but we're not giving them visas. So they'll get the like, hey, you're allowed to come here, but you don't have a visa yet. So it's sort of a trick, right? These people end up stuck and they're still in danger. They're still being hunted down for their service to our country. So Enduring Welcome was supposed to be a 10-year program that was just cranking along. It's authorized by law. It's got its own bank account, and President Trump's team just turned it all off. So that's why it's all stopped right now. But what we know, and we'll talk more about this in the coming days. I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but we've got data that shows that the American people are strongly in support in a bipartisan fashion. Up to 70 and 80% support the ongoing relocation of our wartime allies and an ongoing program for not just Afghans, but anybody who stands up for the idea of America and puts their life at risk and now needs our help.
Some of the Afghan allies who supported the U.S. military, you said, because of the processes being shut down by this current administration, they're at risk. What are the risks of these folks who helped the U.S. military during the Afghanistan war, but are now stuck in limbo, you say endangered?
Sure. So, it's a pretty serious topic. The Taliban and their friends and other bad actors sometimes go door to door and try to give a little knock. They look for people that were supporting the U.S. military. People in Afghanistan are better connected than they are here in the United States, and they talk a lot, right? And so if somebody supported our mission or somebody still believes in the idea of America, that's not popular with the Taliban, and they will kill you. In fact, we've seen a ton of reprisal killings. There's been myriad reports about it. And that's if you're a dude. If you're a woman, they're not going to come kill you necessarily, at least not right away. They're going to come take you. They're going to rape you. They're going to imprison you. They may marry you off to the Taliban. If you're a 14-year-old girl, they might marry you off to the Taliban so you can start cranking out babies for them. It's horrific. And women aren't allowed to exist there. Women are property in Afghanistan. You can't even be seen through the window in your home. Your voice can't be heard. It's horrific. So, I don't know, everything I learned about the idea of America growing up, everything I learned about core values in the United States Navy, honor, courage, and commitment leads me to believe that America has an obligation to these folks. And I'm shocked that with all of these folks in Congress, that especially Republicans that say that they're family values people, um, I don't know how you square not being loud and angry and noisy about this entire thing.